This is the trench. I can confidently say that this is the best and most well-rounded trio base that I've ever built. We start off with a meta furnace wall compound that has a number of chain link turrets that are super expensive to destroy, Patrico peaks that overlook the entire compound without any blind spots, and breach peaks that make online raid defenses incredibly difficult for raiders. But we know that most raids happen offline, which is why the trench has 4 non-splashable bunkers that give you a ton of offline raid protection too. There are infinite angles to defend from and a full 360-degree shooting floor ring with respawns that are completely guarded by turrets. We also have retakes for the roof and shooting floor in a single place, giving you complete control during a raid. The spacious and cozy main core has loads of storage, and backwards ramps prevent raiders from entering the core without spending another 8 rockets to break them first. Our starter is also bunkered, making it cost an absolute minimum of 15 rockets to get from your second floor to your main loot in starter. Finally, we have a roof that's protected by chain link turrets and ankle biter peaks all around, making top-down raiding an expensive mistake for raiders. If y'all like that intro, please make sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Today we're looking at the trench. It has 2 external TCs, one on either side. They're the standard mini Satori disconnectables, and I'll show you how they work. Place a foundation and a roof right here to break this frame. The reason you'd want to do this is if you get raided and your main TC is gone, you'll need to disconnect these to replace it. Next, we'll take a look at the inside of our external TC where we have a large battery and the TC itself. You can see that the upkeep on each of these externals is super low and super manageable. And yes, the wind turbines reach all the way down to these externals. You can also see some breach peaks and some windows from shooting floor right here, and we'll make our way back to the main gates. Heading in, we can see that we have a single door airlock to prevent people from going deep. We also have a couple of beds here, and you'll immediately notice that these turrets lock on through some chain link to completely secure even your gatehouses. We also have Patrico peaks that leave absolutely no blind spots in the compound because they don't have a half wall to block your visibility. We also have some beds, some small boxes, and lockers in here for you to re-kit and get back into the fight. Making our way around the corner, you can see some funneled shotgun trap sections that again have chain link turret coverage. We have our furnace wall right here that prevents raiders after they've blown the high walls outside from actually entering the compound. And we have some breach peaks that give visibility onto both sides of the compound as well as the outside of it. This base is symmetrical by 2, so we can go in the mobility chute on either side. This will bring us up to the shooting floor, which again is completely covered by turrets. We can step into these offset peak pods that are really nasty because they're sort of behind raiders as they start to enter the compound, and you can cover 2 sides of the base at once. You can also see in the floor we have these palisade modules that cover every part of the compound without any blind spots at all. And we have a whole bunch of these Patrico peaks. They let you look down into the compound, but also give you good head protection. On this side, we have a few large boxes as additional storage for our shooting floor. And on the opposite side, we have our bunkered entrance to our core, some electric furnaces, and our jump up to our roof retake. I've left one of these window embrasures out so you can see that if you need to retake your shooting floor or if part of your base is wide open, this is a really great place to be able to retake that shooting floor, or just use these as additional peaks if your shooting floor has been rocketed out. Making our way all the way up onto the roof, we have some additional bedrooms here that have Patrico peaks that again line up perfectly with that furnace wall. We also have some half-height windows here that give you great angles outside of the compound and have these little half walls in front of them that protect you from raid base. You can also see one of the best parts of this base is that it has 2 roof bunkers that will just let you distribute your loot a little bit more. Put some of your good loot up here, some of your good loot in the core, some of your good loot in the starter, and always fill up your lockers. That way it will cost raiders an absolute ton to get all of your loot. Now let's make our way back down to the bunkered core. Heading over to this side, we'll see that a stair bunker completely prevents us from getting in here and will cost a minimum of 8 rockets to get down. All we have to do is break this piece of twig to open up the entrance. Our second floor core is filled with these ramp loot rooms that are completely non-splashable from the outside, meaning that it's going to be very expensive for raiders. And then even once we're here, it's still going to be another 15 rockets to get down past this stair bunker into our starter. We got a few boxes down here, a couple bags, and you can see the upkeep on our main TC is super reasonable for a trio. And all we have to do to break this bunker is pick up the window behind the TC and break the twig. These bunkers are equally as easy to replace as well. We can stand right on this triangle here and place a twig triangle through the wall and a staircase right here. And to replace this bunker down in starter, we'll just pick up the furnace and place a triangle through the wall like this and repeat the same steps of placing down the spiral stairs. And that is all there is to it. And a quick tip, if somebody's trying to be cheeky and grief you by despawning your bags with F1 grenades or something like that, you can actually just replace your bag by standing on top of the jump up and placing it from here. That makes it completely ungriefable. And once you respawn on that bag in your core, you can just break the twig again and reopen your bunker. So all of that makes up the trench, my best trio base to date, with incredible offline raid costs and unbeatable online raid defenses. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel and let's get right into the build. We'll start off by placing 4 triangle foundations in this shape. We'll place a double door frame right here and then 2 half walls right here. This will be used for our bunker later on. We can then wall in the rest of the starter and put a ceiling on it. After that, we can put our double door on the front, and then you might think that the TC goes back there, but it actually goes on this triangle. Just trust the process on this one. Always make sure to code lock your TC as well. And then we can get down some starter deployables. I'm going to throw a few barrels here as well as a couple of small furnaces, and then we can put an airlock and some towels down as well. Keep in mind, a double door airlock like this is definitely not ideal, so we will very quickly expand off of it with a couple more triangle foundations. We'll put a wooden door right here, just a single door, and make sure to leave the ceiling tile wood as well. After that, we'll place another ceiling tile up there and then place our single door and another double door to create our final airlock on the front. We can place a square right here and build it up too high to create a jump up. We're going to use this section in the early game for some deployables like a workbench, more furnaces, our bags, but eventually this will get sealed off as honeycomb. Here's how the outside of the starter is looking so far. Make sure that you do not put a wall or a double door frame or anything like that on this socket. This will get sealed up and be used as honeycomb later on. Next, I'm going to pick up some of the deployables from our starter, except for the large boxes, and move them out to this square. We can just use this as some extra deployable space in the early game, but again, keep in mind this will get sealed off eventually. Make sure if y'all haven't already, please drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. I know a lot of people ask this, but it takes you literally a second and it helps out so much. To finish up our starter base, we'll add a little bit more storage to the core. And there we go, our starter is wrapped up. We have enough space for deployables, we have roof access, we have a front airlock, and enough storage to get us through the early game. Now at this point, you're probably needing a little bit more storage, so we'll go ahead and honeycomb our core by adding a square next to the existing square here, and then we'll mirror the same thing on the other side. It should look just like this when you're done. Then on the remaining 2 sides, we will place triangle honeycomb. On the other side with the airlock, we can either leave the wall out and seal it later, or we can place a single door frame here and extend that airlock outward. We'll be doing this either way, so you might as well just do it now. After that's done, we'll wall in our second floor. Right where this wooden tile is right here, we'll do a full wall and then 2 backwards half walls just like this. We can place a wooden ceiling right here as a temporary jump up. If you don't plan on bunkering the second floor as well as the first floor, you can upgrade this to stone or metal as well. It just can't be there for the bunker to function. After that, we'll place a ceiling on the entire floor. We can go ahead and place a double door frame here with a double door that prevents people from going deep through the roof. And then we can start building out loot rooms on our second floor. This will eventually be sort of our main core that we play out of, but for now we can treat it as additional storage above our starter. This is great because it means that you have good loot distribution in the early game. I'm going ahead and just putting garage doors on every socket right now, but just do it as you get the resources and the blueprints. We'll also go ahead and place our backwards ramps in these loot rooms, and keep in mind the ramps themselves have to be upgraded to metal in order to place double door frames in front of them, so I just go ahead and do it right away. Just a little reminder, the ramps have to be backwards and facing inward, otherwise if they're facing the other direction, raiders can just go in through the sides. These prevent them from breaching the core at all without splashing those out as well, which is another 8 rockets to get inside. We can place down some twig just like this to place the top boxes, and it's super easy. If you're still here after 10 minutes, how many ridges are on the outside of a quarter? I'm curious how many people actually make it this far. To finish off our second floor core, we'll go ahead and place down our highest tier workbench right here with a box under it. And there we go, we have our second floor expansion taken care of, and we're ready to get on our early game shooting floor. There's nothing better than being able to defend your base in the early game. I'm going to start off by placing this single door airlock on the outside here to give us a proper airlock. Now, to get our shooting floor on the base, we'll head to each of these 2 triangle sections like this, and off of the square we'll build another square and 2 triangles. After that, we can build up a couple of door frames and then delete the first part of the build out. We'll repeat the same thing over here. And then make sure to repeat the same exact thing on the other side of the base. This base is 2-way symmetrical, so everything that I'm doing will be repeated on the other side. On this empty triangle right here, we'll fill it in with a foundation and build it up 3 tall. After that, we can place a window frame on either side of it, and then we can place a double door in the middle. Make sure to repeat the same thing on the other side, and then to finish up these palisade module sections, we will place down triangles with a couple of half walls that have windows on top of them. Now we need to seal the gap in between them, so temporarily we can make this little twig build up and then place a double door frame right here. The walls on the side of it will hold it up. The whole shooting floor ring should look just like this when it's done. We can also place down triangle floor frames on this section, and then we can go ahead and put a ceiling on all of it except for the middle hexagon. If we look at our jump up right here, we'll go to the right and left of it, place down half walls with windows on top of them. We can then put a ceiling on top of that. And then turning off symmetry right now, we'll place a double door frame with a half wall on top of it where our jump up is, and then the opposite on the other side, starting with the half wall on the bottom and putting the double door frame on the top. After that, we can place a half height offset floor right here. This pod will eventually be our bedroom. After we've got this section complete, we can put a low wall right here and use it for some additional boxes on our bedroom floor later. We'll finish up our early game shooting floor by placing some horizontal and vertical embrasures on just like you see. You can see that this gives us great angles super early on into wipe, so if somebody is trying to early raid us, we have a way to defend ourselves. Just keep in mind those triangle sections are open, so you might want to put some double doors in front of them. Now I've gone ahead and brought everything up to its final grade. You don't have to do it right now, but I'm just doing it to show you because from this point on, I'm going to build everything in its final grade. You can see that our second floor loot rooms are armored, but they don't have to be armored in that triangle section because they won't be splashable anyways. We can head into our starter airlock and you can see the majority of this circle core gets upgraded to armored, and we're using some double door frames here with garage doors, which I think are the most convenient. It looks a little strange with the TC being out, but it's the same raid cost as if they were window frames, so it's up to you. Keep in mind this will get walled off and these 2 wood pieces will get chopped out, and this will eventually be our jump up to second floor. You can see all of the grades that I've used here for the second floor core, and then we can make our way up to our shooting floor ring. A lot of this part of the base just gets upgraded to metal, besides things like double door frames and single door frames. What's great about this is that this early game shooting floor gives us plenty of angles to defend raids, but also take the attack helicopter, which is huge early game. It can set up your entire wipe for success. You'll also notice I placed a combination of double doors and garage doors inside of the shooting floor ring to section it all off. So now that we've seen the final grades for all of the core, let's get on to the external TCs. Our externals are so important because they hold up our roof bunkers and our mobility. We'll come to these single triangle sections and build out with 7 squares and then end it with a triangle. The build out should look just like this, and then we can delete all of the squares. We'll build back with triangles until we meet the base. And we can build this hexagon shape and delete all of these triangles that you see. And we'll raise this last one. That can be upgraded to sheet metal, and the rest can just be stone. At this point, we'll place half walls on either side with window frames, and then a full wall in the middle that will also be sheet metal. We can use this little build up to place a frame on the other side. At this point, we'll build out with 4 square foundations and end with 3 triangles. I'm going to do freehand bunkered external TCs, but you can use the standard mini Satori design as well. It does not matter. If you want to build the freehands, we're going to place walls on every side and a ceiling on top like this. We'll place single door frames with the soft side facing out, and then we can place our TC on one side and a little bit of storage or an extra battery on the other. We'll then take a square foundation and just kind of wiggle it at a slight angle until it clips into the side like this. If you see 79% stability, it means that you've done it properly. There are some really great guides on this from Crow and Basso, and I will make sure to link them in the description. Next, we'll convert this square foundation into a triangle by doing the following build out. And again, I want to reiterate, if you're not comfortable with freehanding, you can use any external TC design. You can see all we have to do is use a piece of twig to open it up. We'll want to place a square frame on the top when the bunker is open, but make sure that it doesn't close the bunker like this. And then at this point, we'll want to connect these 2 sides, but we won't be able to until we add these frames here for a little extra stability. And this is what our freehand bunker external TC looks like. Make sure to repeat the same exact thing on the other side. If you decide to do the freehanded externals, that brings our base up to 6 total bunkers. The next thing we'll want to do is come to each of these breach peak sections and build 3 triangle foundations off of it, and then stack some double low walls like this. This is going to be what creates our furnace wall. The gap in between them, though, allows the turret that goes in the breach peak to see through. This is what it should look like, and again, as always, two-way symmetry is on, so repeat the same steps on the other side. The last thing that we will do for now on these sections is head back over and place some deployables down. I'm going to do some horizontal embrasures as well as some windows that we can put on top, and then we can place the breach peak roof with some floor tiles above it. We can then get our barricades on, and this section is complete for now. This will allow us to get our compound up after we build our gatehouses. Our gatehouses are pretty straightforward. We'll just come off of these shooting floor foundations and build out a few triangles and meet in the middle with a square. We don't need these triangle foundations here, and we'll be left with this shape. Go ahead and place some window frames facing inward and some full walls or windows facing outward. We'll build a single door airlock on the end and then enclose it with a roof. We'll place down a double door frame here and then a couple full walls on the sides. I like to put a wooden roof on the top so then raiders can't use this against you, and it will get splashed out really early. To place down our double-sided patricos, we'll want to make sure that they're off this full wall here, and then we can add a low wall below. The only downside to this is that raiders could hide under there, so we'll actually use a frame on the inside and a full ceiling on the outside like this. That way, if you're up in shooting floor, there are no blind spots down in your compound. We'll make sure to repeat the same thing on the other side by placing that low wall and then a half height frame and ceiling tile just like this. Overall, this is how our gatehouse looks with all of the peaks, and now we can just add the top section for turrets. This is a pretty standard gatehouse, and it gives you good overall coverage of your compound and the breaches. We can put down a couple of double door frames just like this and fill them out with chain link, which makes these turrets really annoying to deal with. And we'll fill in our deployables starting with the front airlock. I like to double my gatehouses as bedrooms, especially because there aren't dedicated compound bedrooms in the space design. So I put a couple of beds right here, and a campfire helps give you some zero jump mobility here. We can also fit a couple lockers and small boxes in this gatehouse. We'll finish up our Petrico peaks by adding some horizontal embrasures on the outside of these windows. You can see when we crouch on the beds or small boxes, we get perfect visibility of everything inside and outside the compound if it's breached. This gatehouse is looking pretty good. We just have to finish it up by putting some barricades on the top. If you angle them like I'm doing right here, it'll make it so then you can't squeeze through the middle or get through on the sides where the high walls will meet it. Then just make sure you repeat the same step on the other side and you'll be ready to seal up your compound super easily. Just line up your high wall with the double low walls here and alt look to make sure that you have about the right amount of spacing. It's not super picky and it's really hard to mess this one up. Then we can place our furnace by just holding it up really high and backing up right here. You'll just want to make sure you place it so then you can't squeeze through on either side to make it a proper furnace wall. We'll go ahead and repeat the same steps on the other sides of the base, and after that is all taken care of, our compound will be completely done. Again, we'll place it nice and high and just make sure we can't squeeze through any of these sections. Also, I like to add a little ramp right here. It's just good mobility. You can see even when the furnace walls are placed, you have perfect visibility back into your compound that covers all the way up to your breach peaks. And congratulations, you've got your compound down. It's now time to build our mobility chutes that will go all the way up to our shooting floor. Place a couple of triangles on the top here and then a furnace to use as a jump up. Place a full wall and a single door right here. And then heading up, we can place a couple of half walls with a couple low walls on top of it, and then a square on top of that. Here we can place a triangle and another garage door as a jump up. And then heading up onto this square, we can place these full walls right here, as well as sheet metal double door frames to hold up our shooting floor. We'll use a couple of sheet metal half walls on top of it, and then we can place some window frames along the back. For the roof tiles, we will also do these in sheet metal because it will be the bottom of our bunker above. And as you can see, this creates these awesome offset peaks that perfectly look over our furnace wall. We can place a couple of optional triangles right here with some stone barricades on top of them to kind of limit the visibility into this peak. After those are placed down, everything with this offset peak section and your mobility is done. You can see this is how it looks from the outside, and just make sure to repeat the same thing on the other side of the base. We can build our roof bunkers right now as well by heading above this mobility section and just enclosing in the 3 triangles. On one side, we can build a shelf to put some boxes. And on the other side, I'm going to put some backup batteries. I don't think I would use these as the main batteries for main turrets, but they might be useful for something like the roof turrets. We'll also place down a sheet metal double door frame and upgrade the window frame to sheet metal to create the conditional models to seal the gaps on the sides. When we open the bunker with a twig roof right here, we can place a triangle frame on the top. And again, keep the bunker open while you're doing this and make sure the bunker doesn't close. Should look just like this when it's done, and you can open that bunker from either side. Also, make sure you upgrade the frame underneath that wall, otherwise you could 4-rocket that out. Up to this point, we've already built 4 of our 6 bunkers, so now it's time to bunker our core and our second floor. We'll come to this front entrance that is on ground level, and we'll pick up the door and place a vending machine down to seal it off. Then we'll come to the inside here, pick up this door, and use a machete to chop out this door frame. We'll then upgrade that to sheet metal. We can pick up the deployables from this section that we used in the early game, because this will be a loot room above and honeycomb down here. And we'll seal off our circle starter. Next, we'll take a couple more machetes and just chop out this ceiling tile right here. To seal this bunker, we can place a twig triangle through the wall right here using these double half walls. Then we'll use our spiral stairs triangle and seal this off in HQM. Make sure you place down this frame right here and upgrade it, because this will prevent people from squeezing through it. To open our bunker up, all we have to do is break this piece of twig right here. And as you can see, the stairs go with it. You can just use a furnace or a workbench or whatever you want as a jump up. And now what used to be our jump up is a loot room in our main core. We'll want to place our ramps down, but remember they need to be sheet metal and they should be facing towards us, not away from us. After we've got the ramps down, we can go ahead and place boxes in them just like the other loot rooms. Just a reminder, a piece of twig right here makes it really easy to place these top boxes. And now we need to decide if we're going to have a bunker on the second floor as well or not. If you don't want a bunker, you can upgrade this to stone or sheet metal. But if you do want the bunker, you'll have to chop it out and replace it with a frame that has a floor grill in it. There are some disadvantages if you want this. It requires a blueprint and it's a little bit weaker than a floor tile. So your mobility itself might get destroyed, but the bunker will remain intact. So it's up to you. If you want more durable mobility, I would skip the bunker. But if you want the extra raid cost of getting down into that second floor core, then I would go with the bunker. You can also close off this right section, or you can use it for more electric furnaces. It's totally up to you. The left side I will use for electric furnaces just because it's convenient to have them right next to the core. And to break our bunker, we do the same thing. We just break the twig. Keep in mind, now that we have sealed our starter mobility, we will use our mobility chutes to get in and out of the base, effectively making the door raid cost of this base ludicrously high, making it a massive mistake for any raider. Now that we've got all 6 bunkers built into the base, it's time to wrap up our shooting floor and our roof. We'll start off by heading to these gatehouse sections right here and building up with a few frames and putting a ceiling on it. If we come up a floor, we can put window frames on either side and a full wall on the back. We can pick up this double door right here and then put some horizontal embrasures as well as a shelf along the back wall. We can sneak a bed in here. We can get a barrel or a box on the bottom, as well as a turret on the top that gives us great visibility along our entire shooting floor ring. But you can see these window frames are lacking a little bit because they don't have Patricos on them. But that's an easy solve. We'll just build up 3 double door frames from this gatehouse right here, and we'll put these ceiling tiles on these 2 floors. This will give us great head protection while still allowing us to crouch peek out of them. We'll repeat the same thing on the other side of the square. And then on the roof level, we'll just put window frames on every side. Instead of sealing the top completely, we will build up another half height and place a triangle here for a turret to go. We can place 2 double door frames here and then delete the bottom one. The top one will get a piece of chain link, which will effectively guard that turret from 7 to 8 HV rockets from anybody above trying to rocket it out. The triangle also allows it to see straight downward. To finish up this square section, we can place some horizontal embrasures here as well as some windows on the outside. You can then place down a couple of beds here, or a bed and a locker, a bed and a box, some drop boxes, really whatever you want here. And then we can place some triangle roof tiles just like this. I personally upgrade these to wood just in the video because I think they look the best, but just use stone or metal or whatever else you have, and make sure to repeat the same on the other side. If you've got this double door frame here, it might be tricky to place the wind turbine, so just build off some twig on the back and then rotate it around like this. I like to place some low walls here, again just for aesthetics. And there we go. We've got our shooting floor towers up. They go all the way from the shooting floor to the roof. Now, there's one problem with this bunker section, and it's that the turrets cannot see it. So we'll add a little turret pod on top of it and then place some additional triangles here that can hold up another wind turbine on either side. We can't put chain link on this or anything because the bunker entrance is right below, so just leave it off of this section. On the top, we can place additional wind turbines if you need them, but honestly, 2 should be totally fine for this base, the number of turrets it has and everything like that. More aesthetic low walls. Kind of a goofy section, but you know, it's really functional. It adds the bunkers and you get additional turret coverage. So even though it looks a little goofy, it's definitely worth it. Again, we've got that battery in the bunker. I would probably use that for the roof turrets themselves. And again, once you have mirrored everything on the other side, that is kind of wrapping it up for a shooting floor and a roof. We are super, super close. We just have some polish to do. We'll start off our polish by heading to each of the breach peak sections and making sure we place down these turrets right here in compound when we get them. These give great visibility on 2 sides of the compound at once, and honestly, I would probably start with these sections if you're going to do compound turrets. Next, we can come up to our bedroom floor and place down a few beds. You can also get some small boxes or whatever else you need in here. And then this section right next to the entrance to our second floor core, we can place some electric furnaces. We talked about it earlier. You can put them on the right side too if you want. I just have it blocked off. And then under the other side here, we have some additional shooting floor ring boxes that you can just distribute some loot into, put some kits, or, you know, do whatever you need. Now heading down into our starter, before we seal our bunker, we'll want to make sure that we have some bags down here to respawn so we can open the bunker. If you're really paranoid, you could even pick up a box in the very back of the loot room and place a bag down there so it's completely unsplashable. But you can place bags through the gap in the stair bunker, so it's not griefable. Anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing wipe out of this base and that you drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.